Hello viewers, today for cleaning and servicing we got this Mainstays 20-inch high velocity fan. Today we're going to do some cleaning and servicing. This fan is pretty dirty, seen about probably over a year now of use. So today we're gonna clean it up. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off by removing the blade. And we're going to put it aside to start cleaning and service. Allen key size required is 3/32 of an inch. And the blade just comes right off. We're going to go put it aside for cleaning. So now we're looking at just the motor itself, and we are going to clean it out and give it some oil. So for the ground wire, you just simply need to loosen the screw. Just like that. Sure you set all your hardware aside, that way you don't lose it. And we're gonna have to see what size bit we need. Alright, so in order to get the motor apart, you're going to need a mechanic wrench, which is used to remove these bolts, and we are going to remove the 4 bolts. Make sure. No. Alright, we need to go down a size. Alright, so as we just saw, that did not work. There we go, that will work. Alright, so we're going to start off like this. So we're going to show you how this is done. So we're going to try to turn the fan towards the camera so you can see how this is done. As I said before, make sure you set all your hardware aside so that way you don't lose it. Okay, so there we go. So you guys can see that was relatively simple and easy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come to the back of the fan and we're going to we're going to disassemble our control panel. So we're going to get our fan facing downward. So we're going to face that down, make it a little bit easier to work. And now we're going to get our next fitting assembly we need. Alright, so we got our correct size we need. And now we are going to carefully disassemble the rear. Yes, guys, you probably are going to see some white speckles because I use this for like exhausting air out of the shop when I'm painting. So don't be surprised if you see some white speckles, which there are quite a few. Now, none have gotten into the motor, because if you get it in the motor, it will impede the performance of the fan. Alright, so first one came out relatively easy, so alright, you guys saw how to do that, so we're just gonna pause here until we get the rest out. Okay, so what we're doing right now, we're taking the rear control panel off. Now that we got the motor out, we're going to go ahead and disassemble the rear part, make this easier service, check our electrical connections, make sure they're all, nice and secure. Helps if you don't drop your screwdrivers. Alright, so it should just come right off, and there we go. Alright, so we got our capacitor right here. This is a 10 microfarad capacitor, 250 volts. So it's a 10 microfarad. And now we've got access to our switch. And now we can take a closer look. So now, in order to disassemble our motor, now we got all this taken care of, we need to disassemble these rear bolts here. Alright, so this should come out relatively easy. So we're going to put all our hardware aside, put all the nuts and everything with it. So now our motor should simply just come directly apart. And it is looking kind of dry. So windings appear to be in pretty good condition. We're going to take out our armature. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and put some oil in our rear yoke. So we're going to grab my oil canister. Where did we put it? It's not easy when you got a lot of stuff you got to keep track of. It's easy to get lost. Right here. Put some oil in the rear wicking material. And yes, we are currently oiling right now. Okay. So now that our front and rear have been oiled, we're going to go ahead and start reassembling the motor. There is some wicking material in the front, so we will be able to keep some oil in there. You should get plenty of oil in your wicking material. Oh, there it goes. There's the siren. So 12 noon. Alright, so you guys can see our motor is ready to go. So make sure we get plenty of oil in our Alright, so we got plenty of wicking material and oil. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and start reassembling. Alright. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and reassemble. Like I said before, we got our motor all nice and cleaned up and oiled. So now we're going to go ahead and up to the front. Alright, so yep, motor is not too thrilled at the moment. So we're going to have to see if we can realign it here, because our motor is not spinning freely. So we're going to have to do a little realignment here just to ensure that the motor is properly aligned, because like I said, you don't want to overdo it and run yourself into a problem later on. So what we're going to do is we're going to, so you can see it's all nice and well lubricated now. I already check our bearing alignment. So you don't want to tap too hard, because you don't want to go even worse if you go out of alignment. Alright, so that spins relatively freely now. So you guys can see what I'm doing is I'm making sure that our motor is in proper alignment, because if it's not, then you're going to end up having happen what I just did. So trying to make sure our motor is aligned, that it can spin relatively freely. Because your mountain hardware should be able to go in relatively easily. Okay, so we did manage to get it. It's pretty. It's aligned. So we're gonna go ahead and start reassembling on the back here. Just gotta make sure we're in proper alignment first. Alright, so you guys can see we are trying to align it here. It's not working out. So yeah guys, we'll have to see how stiff this thing gets when we try it after cleaning. I don't think I'm going to be too thrilled with the result. So another thing too, you don't want to put these on outrageously tight. Alright, this one we're going to have to tighten down a little bit. Okay. So we got our motor reassembled, or make sure it can spin freely. Okay, nope. Alright, we're pretty stiff. It's not good. Alright, so we got a little bit of a problem here. I don't know if you guys were able to notice that. I had kind of a rough time. So I'm going to carefully tap on the drive shaft, and where it's... There we go. Alright, so that can spin pretty freely now, so that's a good sign. And there we go, that spins nice and free. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and reassemble our wiring here. Make sure our cap has no bulges or anything, which it does not. Our capacitor is good. Sorry for the dogs barking, guys. They're excited about something. Make sure that our wiring is free. Alright, so that's not good. Our motor just came out. So we pretty much got it all back together. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and start reassembling all our bolts that go on the back. Okay, those are the wrong ones. Okay. Alright, so one of our bolts decided to get away. Alright, so gonna go ahead and fix something here. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna go ahead and fix all this up so you guys can just saw a little bit of a minor mishap here. So you guys can see that didn't quite work out the way I hoped it did. So alright. Here's our ground. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to put our ground on here. So you always want to make sure the motor is properly grounded because like I said, it's an all-metal fan. So you want to be sure you've got proper grounding. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. Take our ground. So made a little mistake there. Alright, so our ground is secured. What we're going to go ahead and do, a lot of times what I see people do is they'll put an extra nut on there. So I think, we're going to go ahead and do that. No, actually, no, we can't. And just hit a... Alright, there we go, it's out. Okay. Alright, so we got a proper ground. Alright, so the problem is our ground screw hole is stripped. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut a screw using my bolt cutters. We're gonna cut a screw. I'm gonna cut it to about the same length and use it for ground. So gonna and there we go. Now we got a new ground screw. Alright, so we got our ground screw hooked up. That means we are all set to go ahead and reassemble our motor. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and reassemble our motor. As I said before, this is not a very difficult task to do. Just make sure you have all, proper utensils and equipment in order to do so. Now with these, it's not horribly difficult. You just need to make sure you have your oh, pardon me. Make sure you have the right, nut. The right type. That goes on that bolt. Alright. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and Alright, so we got everything reassembled properly. So now what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and insert it back onto the fan. Now the way these mount kind of reminds me of the older patent fans, which I probably showed you that in the beginning of the video. If I didn't, then I will show you after we reassemble everything. This reminds me of the older patent fans that had this particular style mounting system, which I think it's pretty cool, to be honest with you. So we're going to go ahead and ensure our motor is free. Okay. So what we want to ensure is that our motor is in the correct position. So you want to make sure that you put it in this way. Okay. Alright, well. Alright. Okay, yep, just want to. Alright, guys, so it looks like we didn't do something right. We are putting her back together. And I just caught this right off the bat. Got ourselves a little problem here. So, it looks like here, I don't know if you guys can tell or not, we got our motor housing on the wrong way. So, we're going to pause here. Alright, so now what we are doing is we are putting everything back on. We have completed the servicing of my 20-inch high velocity fan. We're just starting to put everything all back together now. So yeah, we're all covered in oil because, we lubricated the fan. Alright, so we got it reassembled. We're going to put our switch knob back on. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and do the reassembly portion here, which this is relatively easy to do. Just simply reinsert your motor back on the 4 mounts, and then take your 4 mounting nuts and start screwing them on. Also, too, just be careful not to cross thread. Now we're going to go ahead and just tighten these down. Another thing too, guys, be sure not to over tighten, because over tightening can be just as bad as not tightening it enough. Alright, so now we're just going to ensure that it's going to spin nice and free. Alright, so it looks like we need to give a tiny tap to the left. Alright, so that spins pretty freely now, so we're going to go ahead and we're gonna bring you guys back after we clean the blades. So you guys have seen how I do it on the 9-inch fans. It's same on the 20-inch fans. So you can just ensure that you don't bend the blade so much that it ruins it. So we'll be right back. Alright, so we got it all nice and clean. We're going to go ahead and reassemble. We're going to put our blade back on, then we're going to balance it. Now the nice thing about these larger blades Alright, so our fan is nice and lubricated now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and balance the fan. So we're going to make sure our power cord is out of the way. Alright, so our fan is ready to go. So you can see we are all set, and we're going to go ahead and balance it. Here we go. Oh. Alright, we're going to have to... Okay, I don't know if you just saw that. Probably you did. Alright, well, there we go. Got a little... Alright, so we're going to go ahead and... So now we're going to show you guys how to balance the fan. So now we're all cleaned up. We're spun all the water off. So let's balance the fan. Alright. Alright, so this one needs to be bent back a little. Alright, so we're going to bring it back. Alright, so we got the blade clocked. So now we're going to go ahead and test the balance now after we went and clocked it. Make sure everything is working. Oh, helps if we plug it up. Alright, so the balance is a little bit better. Still vibrating a little bit, so we don't know what the problem is. So we're going to see how the blade is at power. Alright, we got a pitch issue. So that's pretty close, so we'll test it again. Alright, so the balance is much better. It's not vibrating a lot. Even on the bench, it's not vibrating bad, so. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just reinsure that. Alright, so we pretty much got the balance problem solved. As you can tell, it's working a lot better. The balance is much more reasonable. So now we're going to go ahead and give it a test. Alright, so the balance isn't bad. It's actually pretty good now. Airflow is tremendous. This thing just moves a tremendous amount of air. It's blowing everything around the shop. Alright. Alright, so definitely much better performance than I expected after a little bit of cleaning and servicing and some balancing. And it's definitely working a lot better. So now we're going to go ahead and put the guard back on, and we'll see what else we can do. Make sure we have our screws, which we should have them. Now, sometimes what I like to do, sometimes I'll just put a few screws on. So that's what we're going to do. Actually, better yet, that will conclude the video because we're going to do some plate swapping.